My job entails getting residents up in the morning, washed and dressed. I do shift work, so there's 3 shifts in the day. I do have a proper wage. I'm just over the minimum wage, so I get £6.45 an hour. It varies from week to week how many hours I work. With the working tax credits that I've got, I'm only supposed to work about 30 hours, so I do roughly between 16 and 28 hours a week. I do like my job. I've been working in this profession now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years next week. I do like the job. It's much better to the job that I had before, because I do like having that caring role, because I'm a caring person myself.
I'm currently employed as the National Director of All Wales People First. I work 22.5 hours a week, and my job basically entails making sure that the wishes of our National Council and our business plan, which they designed, are put into practice, that I maintain good contact and help to forge good relationships with other organisations. I get paid for what I do, and yeah, I get an equal wage to my colleagues. I absolutely love my job. I really do.
Once all my bills have paid, if I've got enough money, then I do like going out for socialising. I like to go out and meet my friends, go out for meals, which I tend to do a lot of because I enjoy it. A nice meal out and a glass of wine. I like to go to Swansea or to Cardiff and go shopping if I've got enough money. Splash out if I've worked a really hard month. Splash out on the cash and get some nice clothes. I do like earning money because it's a little bit extra to what I may already have.
To be honest with you, in terms of my salary, the salary is lovely and everything for me, but really it pales into insignificance compared to the other things I get out of it. But yeah, the salary is nice to be able to buy nice things. I love my clothes, and I'm wearing one of my famous Noel Edmonds Powell blouses at the moment, and I can buy lots of them with my money. And when I go out with my friends and I've got money for restaurants, to buy nice clothes, to buy music, I'd say that's the biggest thing. I do really like earning money, but it's not for the reasons people think. Yes, you know, I like material things and I like to spend money, but I love to pay my way in the world. And I always said throughout my life my ambition was to be a taxpayer of this country, and people used to think I was insane for saying that. And the reason is because to be equal and to prove myself as an equal person in society, I want to pay my way and I want to contribute to society. I don't want to be a passenger. And that's what I really love about earning money.
I was on benefits. I had working tax credit, incapacity benefit, disability living allowance, and I think I was on income support for a short time. And when I was looking for a full-time job and coming off benefits, when you get into that benefit system and you want to come out of it because you want to earn your own wage, it is really difficult to get out of that trap. It was the understanding and the ways the benefit system was working, because it was the first time I was on benefits and it was a kind of a new thing for me. And when I had the support, it was them knowing best, and it was really frustrating. And I'm a determined person myself, and I felt that I was ready to have my own wage. So once you're in the benefit system, you get into an awful trap, and there's so many different angles to try and get yourself out of it. And I don't actually remember how I got out of it, but it was quite a challenging and frustrating job.
Having a job is different from getting benefits. There's no doubt about that. There's strengths and there's good and the bad about that. The good thing is actually, you know, those days when you're on benefits and you don't have anything to go to, you know, you can feel down and lethargic. Having a job sometimes forces you to get up and do things, even if you don't want to do them. And actually, when you come back, you feel much better. And when you come back and you then watch television or enjoy your leisure time, it's so much more enjoyable for the fact you've been out and done something. I've got to be honest with you. It might be an unusual answer. it was great in many ways. The money I got was quite decent, you know, considering it paid my bills. I got good housing benefit. What I was left over with was enough to have the treats I wanted in life. It wasn't as much as earning a living, but actually it was a good life, and I had good benefits. But obviously that didn't fill the gaps in my life in terms of wanting to be part of something and being respected in a workplace and the things that come with that. So to be honest with you, it was limiting in one way, in the sense where getting off benefits becomes difficult. But to be honest with you, being on benefits, it was a positive experience, as strange as that might sound.
I was involved with Job Centre Plus, with the disability advisor. She signposted me then to a job coach and supported employment. I was involved with Shore Trust for about 2 or 3 years, and I actually got the job myself, but they supported me in if I needed any extra help in my job, and they would come in and have reviews with me to see how things were going. It was basically having a chat, making sure that everything was okay, doing all the form filling and all the paperwork, all the safety regulations. But it was a kind of reassurance for me that I had somebody there if I needed them to talk to and support me into employment.
The difficulty when I first started working, and one of the problems I had, was I could not imagine myself in the workplace because I hadn't been there. I was a summons clerk for Northumbria Police back in 1996, and because I was a different person then, and you know, had mental health issues and what have you, I just couldn't imagine myself in a workplace, and I couldn't imagine what that looked like or what it was, you know, what it was about. You know, and I probably overestimated actually what it was. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy in the workplace, but at the same time, I think it's easy as well to make it into something bigger than it is as well.
If I go back to the first day of when I was waitressing in the last job that I had, I can remember my first day of working as a waitress. It was quite difficult because you didn't know the people, you didn't know the aspects of working, what to do. I suppose you felt a little bit small, because I remember my first day as being a waitress and working in the restaurant. I was shadowing one of the other workers, and I was watching her, the roles of what she was doing, and I am pretty quick at picking up things, so after a couple of weeks I was able to be more independent and get on with the job myself. So it was basically watch and learn to begin with.
In my job, we had I was very lucky because there was the National Council decided they wanted somebody with a learning disability to be their director. So there was a great infrastructure put into place immediately. The fact that we introduced a business manager, which Yvonne trained, so then Yvonne could then train me to do my job, made things much easier for me. A lot of my job is just going out there and doing it as well, going to meetings, seeing what happens. Obviously what's difficult is I've gone from not working for years to being a director in one fell swoop. So I thought I got great support and great background information, especially off Yvonne, off our board of directors as well in the background if I need them. But I think ultimately it's just being out there and doing the job, really, that I'm going to pick up knowledge, and there's still a long way to go, to be honest. I think the people who were really supportive of me working were people such as my life coach Bernard. My parents were very encouraging, but I was sent the advert for All Wheels People First director by a lady called Julie Tucker, who ran the individual budgets department in Newport Social Services, and everybody was really positive that God, Joe, this job's made for you. This is the stuff you're doing now. This job's so made for you. I must admit, I personally, I'm being honest with you, couldn't envisage me in a workplace, because I never, as far as I was concerned, people like me didn't end up working, and it was my dream, but I never ever thought it would happen. But they encouraged me, and thank God I went for it.
How do I cope with stress? I will take myself out of the situation and go into a calm a place and have 5 minutes to myself, I will make myself a cup of tea, or I may have a glass of wine or two if I'm really stressful. I like to have I like to have my own space when I'm stressed, and I do like to have a bit of company with the people that I can talk to. And I just like to wind down, watch telly, just have my own company and be around people. That's how I cope with stress. I've had many occasions where I felt really stressful and wanted to throw the book at somebody. What stopped me from throwing it all in was making myself calm by reflecting on things. I have coped with stress, and sometimes I do feel like, do I think that job is for me? So I try and look for something else. I do try and stay in a job for about 3 years and then I move on. Because it's too much.
I don't actually ever find work stressful, funny enough, but I do find people stressful. And I think one of the things that I have to come to terms with in my own life is I'm somebody with Asperger's syndrome. And that is part of, if I go into a workplace, I have to take that as part of the full package. And that's the cross I have to bear. So dealing with people will always be an issue for me. And you do get people in my job who are awkward, who resemble people who held me back when I was in the social care system, who are working with people with learning disabilities. And that's emotionally quite challenging at times. And also as well, it affects your job, and at times it affects your morale at times. I'd say that's stressful. The actual job I don't find stressful particularly.
I have many responsibilities of my job. I've got to make sure that I'm punctual. I come into work on time. There was an incident, which I won't go into depth, where I did take a lack of responsibility when I went out the night before and didn't come into work because I had too much to drink. So punctual is a big responsibility. Knowing what your role of the job is, and maybe you may have to take on other responsibilities by helping the person in charge, helping out with other roles. So yeah, I do have a sense of responsibility of my job.
I really feel if I didn't show up for work or I didn't do my job properly, I'd be letting an awful lot of people down. I think the fact that I was lucky enough to get this position in the first place, when you look at the massive interest there was, I think for me not to turn up, for instance, if I was to succeed in this role, and I say if, not to be negative, because I don't take for granted the job's mine. It's mine up to now, but I've still got to hold on to the job and still do what's expected of me. I also realise as well that if this post is successful and I succeed, it could set a precedent that other people with learning disabilities as well could take on more managerial roles in organisations. So I really feel, I would be letting an awful lot of people down, myself obviously, but the wider learning disability community, I'd really be letting people first down.
Well, in my experience of the mindset of holding the job, you need to be determined and willing to want the job. You want to be a person that wants to be part of a team, because teamwork is really important in having a job. Timekeeping is really important to set a job. You've got to be punctual, coming into work on time, and willing and happy, joyful, and really wanting to being able to work.
I personally believe if you're going to hold down a job, okay, it's great if somebody comes with all the experience and the knowledge, but I really believe if you have integrity and honesty and you're willing to self-reflect and learn, the rest will come later. If you're prepared to learn, like my job, for instance, I didn't have the background or the experience in certain aspects of the role. All I had to do was just keep on turning up, plugging away until I got that experience. I really believe if you are reliable and dependable and you're willing to learn from your mistakes and be able to be honest with yourself, I really believe over time you will develop the skills you need to get to the level you need to be at.
A good manager makes them good because they will look after your staff, supervisions in team meetings regularly to make sure everything's okay. I can't say not all the time they're on the end of the phone because of other work commitments out of work. They might be busy with family life, but most of the time they are on the end of the phone if we do have an emergency. I think a bad manager would be when they weren't there for you. They didn't care about the job or the place that they own. They talk down to you, they disrespect you.
We have a board of directors, and you know, I really think on the whole they're very supportive. They're certainly always encouraging me to make sure I don't work too hard, to take leave and what have you. So yeah, I think I'm very fortunate. Because of the role I've got as director, I don't necessarily have a direct line manager, but having a board of directors there who can support me, but at the same time let me get on with the job and give me the freedom to get on with the job, and then I account to them later. I think any board member or any manager is somebody who gives you feedback rather than criticism, and gives you constructive feedback, which can help you to develop your job. I think sometimes a manager does need to be firm with a person. Sometimes a manager needs to encourage a person. I think a good manager has to have the skill sets to know how to deal with the person that they're working with. But all the time have in mind that it is a team, and the reason you give feedback to a person is to help them to be better and more effective members of that team. I feel a bad manager would be somebody who, you know, I know I'm going back to the care services again because I think that was the best example of bad managers, were people who were egotistical. It was about them. People who speak without listening. People who are out of touch and who are never at the grassroots of what's happening. People who are dismissive about people's problems, who don't listen, who are arrogant, who aren't prepared to change, who don't support people. People who bully. I mean, it's amazing how many managers as well think it's their job to put people in their place, and it's not. Sometimes maybe that has to happen, but not all the time, not most of the time.
My work-life balance can be good and it can be quite rocky. It takes a lot for me to break down, as it were. I do enjoy work and home life, but it can be quite difficult. It can be difficult because there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. But I do try and enjoy it because I don't do many hours in work. Then if on the time off that I have, I am really busy at other things.
I have to say, the one thing that I've really failed at so far is getting my work-life balance right. It's not very good at all, to be honest with you. One of the things I do is I still, okay, this is probably a different thing, but I'm surfing late at night on the internet, which is not going to help me when I get up for work in the morning. I'm not eating very healthily at all, which is not going to help me in my job. I probably aren't not relaxing as much as I should, because I think a lot of that's to do with me, to be honest with you. I should probably be taking more time to get more sleep at night, to go out and do more things on a social level, to recharge my batteries. I think if I did that, it would definitely benefit me in the workplace, and I'd be a better employee, and that's something that I have to work on.
I do socialise. I do talk to people in work, and I did have a bit of a social life with people in work, but there have been issues where I've come away from a few people out of work because things out of work came into work, which was quite difficult. And I've had an experience one or two times where I felt that I haven't been able to fit in with work. I felt like people have dismissed me, and I felt like I wasn't there at some point, which can be quite difficult in work when you feel like you're being excluded. I think what made me fit in with the job and making new friends, and we're all an individual in work and we all like to work differently, so we compromise of different ways of working. I think the most difficult thing that I find not fitting in is being involved with other people's conversations, and I feel excluded because I'm quite a shy person when it comes to other people's conversations, and that's what I find really difficult, is to fit in with their conversations. So I try and stay away from it.
One of the things that I love about working, and again I'm talking about personal circumstances as somebody with Asperger's, on a social level I feel I fit into the workplace much better than anywhere else. In the social environment, when you go out with, and it's all pals and matey mates, I end up just standing there and just looking like a complete plank. I just can't do that stuff, don't do that stuff. But if I'm at a meeting, say with some colleagues, and we go out for a meal or something, that's where I think I'm better socially. So to be honest with you, working is my social activity in a strange way. I think the type of job that I've got, we don't really go out on a social level, but we do have a great working relationship. We don't have an office. We work in different parts of the country. When we come together and what have you, we have a great time and a great working relationship. And if we had works nights out and we lived closer, I've got no doubt, I would really enjoy that. As a rule of thumb, though, in most jobs, I probably wouldn't be interested in the works nights out. I've got to be honest with you, my idea of hell.
I've been working since I was 14, so it's been many years since I've been working, and I've had lots of experience in different jobs. But the work that I'm doing now as a care worker, I'm really glad that I took the plunge in being a care worker. I had the experience of being a care worker at 17, and I only had little experience then. But now that I've got older, I enjoy it and I've taken on more responsibility.
I have to say that I'm really, really glad that I took the plunge and got my job. And it's because I feel I need a reason to live and a justification to be part of society. I didn't want to just be somebody, and I could have done that. I could probably still do it now if I wanted, probably even with his benefit cuts. I could still live on benefits because of my past experiences, but it didn't fulfill. It didn't give me anything. It didn't give me a purpose in life. It didn't give me a reason to live. And for me, having a reason to live for me was to try and help serve other people. This is one of the reasons why I was determined not to be a member of People First, because I want to serve members. I don't want to benefit. I want to serve members. And for me, it's being able to have a role in society and be valued and give something back. That's worth more than any salary anybody could pay.